239 people, a modern jet, and then nothing. In 2014, Flight MH370 disappeared, leaving behind one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. It was the early hours of March when the Boeing 777 took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport, bound for Beijing. 227 passengers and 12 crew members were on board. Nothing out of the ordinary as it climbed into the night sky. Then came the last radio call at 1:19 a.m. "Good night, Malaysian 370. 2 minutes later, the plane vanished from civilian radar. There was nothing on the screen. No blip, no flight path, just a blank space where the plane should have been. At first, it was assumed that MH370 had simply gone off course and crashed somewhere over the Gulf of Thailand or the South China Sea. But as hours passed without a shred of evidence, investigators were forced to consider other possibilities. In the cockpit, the pilots were struggling to keep the plane in the air. They were fighting a losing battle against a malfunctioning autopilot system. With every passing moment, their chances of survival were slipping away. The last thing they did was turn on the fasten seatbelt sign. Then everything went black. As it turned out, MH370 didn't go down in the Gulf of Thailand or the South China Sea. It flew right over Malaysia before heading towards the Indian Ocean. These weren't random movements. Every turn, every maneuver was deliberate. Someone was in control, but who? The plane was being flown by a seasoned pilot, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah. He had logged over 18,000 hours in the air. His co-pilot, First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, was still relatively new to the airline, but he too was well-trained and experienced. Both pilots were qualified to fly the Boeing 777, so if there was anyone who could land that plane safely, it was them. But what about the passengers? Could any of them have been in the cockpit at the time of the crash? Well, the answer is probably not. While some of the passengers were awake, most would have been asleep. It would have been easy for the pilot to quietly usher them all into the back of the plane and lock the doors. But if that was his intention, why wait until the middle of the flight? Another possibility was that the plane was hijacked, but none of the world's terror groups claimed responsibility. And that brings us to the most controversial theory, pilot suicide. Maybe Captain Shari decided to take his own life and that of everyone on board. But if that was the case, why wait 8 hours to do it? Why not take off from Kuala Lumpur knowing full well that the plane would eventually run out of fuel? The truth is, there are so many unanswered questions and not enough answers to go around. Some say the plane was deliberately flown into the ocean. Others claim it was lost due to a series of unfortunate events that couldn't have been predicted. But those who've lost loved ones on MH370 aren't looking for answers. They're looking for closure. And until the wreckage is found, they may never get it. The search for MH370 was the largest in aviation history, involving over 100 aircraft in 57 countries. But despite all the resources dedicated to finding the plane, only a small amount of debris has been recovered. In 2015, a piece of the plane's inner wing flaperon was discovered on the shores of Reunion Island in the Indian Ocean, and in 2016, a few more pieces were found on the coast of Africa, but that's it. The main wreckage and black boxes remain missing. So what really happened to MH370? We may never know for sure, but one thing is certain in the age of satellites, a Boeing 777 shouldn't be able to just vanish without a trace. What do you think happened to MH370? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.